Hiya and welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the unboot for Galatasaray v Liverpool in the Champions League, our second league phase fixture. I keep forgetting that it's no longer a group stage. I'm delighted to be joined by both Stees. I've got Ste P and Ste H. I mean, what an absolute delight. And we will swiftly move on from what happened this weekend and we'll turn our attention to Galatasaray. And let me tell you, the 7 from 7, Ste, 6 points clear of Fenerbahce. They've scored 19 and conceded only 2 in the league. They are on form and once again looking to win the Turkish league, and they've done it, I think, 3 times in a row, and they've made an incredible start to making it 4.
Yeah, I think the one caveat you can add to that is the Turkish league is not Champions League, and as Steve pointed out before, got wellied by Frankfurt and hopefully get wellied again by Liverpool. But I think, as good as they are, Chloe, I think we need to do is get back at it the weekend. Yep. Moving on from the weekend, as you quite rightly said, is that this is a good opportunity to put that to bed and do what we do and do what we do well. And it will be difficult. Turkey's never an easy place to go. They're welcoming the English champions to their ground. That will be hostile, absolutely be hostile. And it's a good test for us off the back of a disappointing performance. And there's a few lads out there that owe us one in terms of their performances at the weekend. So hopefully we deal with what we need to deal with in the next 24 hours and we go over there and we get back to what we do.
Yeah, hopefully we can do that. But we also, Steve, can't underestimate them at the same time. Look, they did get absolutely battered 5-1 by Eintracht Frankfurt in their opening game of the Champions League. However, they've got some really good players. They've got Osimhen, Icardi, Sané, Gundogan, Lemina, who used to play for Wolves, Torreira, who used to play for Arsenal. They're all on the older side, I think it's fair to say, and hopefully, we can leg them everywhere. But they've still got players who on their day can produce a bit of magic, can play, boss football, and can hurt Liverpool.
Yeah, Icardi in particular has had a really good start to the season, hasn't he? And like I say, Steve's right, the Turkish league is a level below. I don't think even the most hardened of Turkish fans would disagree. There are a lot of players who've gone over there, where the Premier League or Serie A or whatever's got a little bit too much for them, and they've gone and fill your boots, go and play for a massive team in front of an amazing crowd, earn some good money, win some trophies. There's no shame in doing that, and they have got players who have started the season very well in that regard. I know Icardi's 32, so he's not completely over the hill. 5 goals already. You talked about Sané, still got a little bit left in there, and others. So yeah, they've definitely got players who can hit. Yeah, I think for Liverpool, I thought your point was right. Can you leg them everywhere? That should be the game plan, but that's really tough on the back of a relatively quick turnaround with quite a bit of travel. It's not the closest of European aways. The players are training Monday, flight straight to Turkey, game the next day. It's not an easy turnaround for us. But I'm with you. I think that should be Liverpool's game plan. In what is going to be a hostile place to be, for 100 different reasons. That will not be an easy place to go, and you're not going to get much off Galatasaray. They're not going to give you an inch. It's a real tough one. When the draw was made against who you're getting, you'd much rather it be obviously Galatasaray at home, and you'd rather go to somewhere. You'd rather go to PSV again, or something like that. Having to go there, when they're in such good form in the league, right up for it, it is going to be a really, really, really difficult game.
Yeah, Galatasaray and Liverpool will meet for the 5th time in a European competition, with both sides managing 1 victory apiece across the previous 4, drawing 2. This will be the first game against each other since a 3-2 win for Galatasaray in the UEFA Champions League in December 2006. Did you?
Yeah, I bought my tickets before. It was a dead rubber. Liverpool had already qualified. But we still had to go. It's a hostile place. I think Robbie Fowler played. Yeah. I think I'm right in saying in the return of it. That was a much different occasion, because that was a dead rubber for us. Liverpool, obviously the old group phase. This is a different kettle of fish. It's early on.
You've already lost 1, by the way.
It's a big. Not only did they lose, they got battered. Yeah. And at this stage of this, again, it's very, very early in this thing, but if you lose 2 on the run, and with your goal difference being as bad as it is, for Galatasaray, it's massive to respond. They don't want to be 0 from 2 against, two good teams in Frankfurt, and obviously the Premier League champions, Liverpool, with like a minus 5, 6, 7 goal difference. That puts them really up against it.
Well, speaking about losing 2, Galatasaray have only won 1 of their last 18 games in the Champions League, drawing 5 and losing 12. They obviously lost their opening game by 4 goals against Eintracht Frankfurt in a 5-1 loss. However, they haven't lost their first 2 games in a UEFA Champions League campaign since 12-13. So, that's a stat that they've done well to hold on to. A lot of them are draws, but a draw against Liverpool would be brilliant, Steve. And the thing that I get about it is it's a really tasty fixture for them. It's Liverpool. It's at home. Like Steve mentioned there, the atmosphere they can create for us is unbelievable. And look, they look at us and they probably think, we get at them, we can actually cause them some danger. They're not the most defensively solid. No. So yeah, I understand they've lost quite heavily in the first game, but they will be looking at Liverpool, hoping that if they actually just lay a glove on us, we might not be able to remain solid defensively.
And they've got a bit of know-how in the names that we mentioned that have gone there. In Sane and Gundogan, they've got good records against Liverpool as City players. So there's a bit of know-how in terms of what you need to do to
Sane loved a goal against us.
Near post, every time, didn't he? Bang. But he was a quality player. But those players that you speak about, particularly Gundogan, who couldn't realistically cope in the Premier League. It was too much for him. The legs thing that you mentioned at the start of the show. You'd like to think that he would struggle against a fluid Liverpool midfield, but we didn't see a fluid Liverpool midfield at the weekend, so we hope to turn that round quickly. They've got know-how. You look at the names, they've got some really super experienced players in that squad, and they're not going to be fazed by Liverpool going there, and the flares will be out and the noise will be there, and it'll be for Liverpool to overcome obstacles as much as anything, and deal with the disappointments of the weekend and get back to what we do. We said before that in terms of league game, I think Slot's never lost 2 league games in a row as a manager of anybody. I'd like to think that would include him not wanting to lose a league game followed very quickly by a Champions League game. And you wouldn't want to draw, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because that is a really, really difficult place to go.
It's worth interesting. Their Champions League record, though, is worth mentioning, is poor. Yeah. Like it is the Turkish league, go back to it. It is just a different standard. And I always do maintain, like, if you go away in Europe, and often sometimes the further east you go, there are teams who are used to winning a lot. And therefore, like, for example, Belgrade, Liverpool lost in Belgrade a few years ago. Liverpool are better than Belgrade, but it was hostile against a team who knew what they were doing, and they're used to winning. The flip reverse is true. They're not used to losing so much. If you can get on top of them and quieten that crowd a bit, it can go your way as well. Like, I do think you have to have a real look at their Champions League record and think, it isn't great. And that should give you confidence if you're Liverpool. They're scoring goals for fun this year. Don't get me wrong, everything's going really well. But they have played 1 Champions League game. And Frankfurt are good, but you wouldn't say Frankfurt are an elite Champions League level team, which Liverpool should be. Yeah. Again, I get it. It was in Germany. It's a different kettle of fish going to Turkey. But there is still a gulf in quality. They're hoping that the gulf in quality is bridged by the hostility and being at it and being up for it. And we need to keep that bridge in quality by just being better. And if we play at our 8, 9, 10, they can't beat us. But if Liverpool let it get to them, the set piece thing becomes nervy, their crowd gets up for it, maybe gets in the referee's head a little bit, all of a sudden that gap in quality's gone, and it's a level playing field, and then they fancy the chances. Yeah,
it says from the weekend they played a 3-4-2-1, but you can imagine if Liverpool do start to dominate that game, that 3 easily becomes a back 5.
Why wouldn't you, by the way, after seeing what Glasner just did with it?
Yes, exactly. And we've struggled against back 3s, then we've struggled against back 5s as well. So, I think they'll be really up for it, and look, that atmosphere is going to be something to try and have to deal with. We do still have a lot of young lads in this side as well, so it will be an interesting game. Galatasaray are unbeaten in their last 3 games against English opponents in European competitions, winning 2 and drawing 1. However, they obviously won against Man United, which, everyone does that. Spurs, they also did beat in the Europa League in the last 2 campaigns, and that is as many victories as they've managed in their previous 12 combined, which is win 2, draw 5 and lose 5. And a little fun fact for you, their coach, Buruk, I want to say his name is, he played and scored for Galatasaray in that 3-2 victory in 2006. He took charge in 2022. So there's a little fun fact. But let's get on to the team that we can talk about in more detail, Steve, because it's us and we watch us week in, week out. First of all, after the weekend and a really bad set of results for us in the Premier League, I'm actually quite happy that it's the Champions League to distract me and change my mind.
No, we spoke about it on the final word. It is good that it's a European fixture, and it's good that it comes so quickly.
Yep.
You wouldn't want to lose away to Palace and then go on a 10-day international break. You need to get back at what we do what we do well. There'll be plenty of talk about restoring all of the things that we've been good at, rather than the things that we've not been good at. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's a nice thing. It's a nice distraction to have that's outside of the league. We probably could have done with an easier fixture, but there are no easy fixtures anymore, really, are there? And when you've got a media campaign saying that it's not been going well for Liverpool this season, they don't look like they're particularly fluid and the attacking things yet to fire. Yet we're top of the league, and we speaks for itself, doesn't it? But that's a special competition for us as well, and we respond to it.
Yeah. Steve, are you concerned at all about us defensively going into this game? Look, I totally agree. Liverpool put our top of the Premier League and still, hold that 2-point gap. So there's a reason that we're there. However, the amount of goals that we do concede is a slight concern for me. And in an atmosphere that can suffocate you, or at least it feels like it can. And we all know what we've been like from set pieces. Are you a little bit concerned going into this that, the previous game might be on the mind, Galatasaray will be up for it, and it can just get to your head?
Yeah, I think the set pieces one's is the biggest concern. I say this right, against Palace, they could have been 4 down from open play, so but that hasn't been the norm. Yeah. Liverpool actually, it hasn't really been so much that, especially away from home. It's been the set pieces that have really hurt them, and Galatasaray and idiots, they'll know that. If they've got a long throw taker, he'll be getting loose. The corners, they'll be all over it. So absolutely, I couldn't sit here and say I'm completely happy with how Liverpool have defended all season, because it hasn't been good enough. There have been moments and there've been games where been really encouraged. Arsenal at home, I thought they defended really well for the most part. So there have been times where, yeah, absolutely, I'm concerned. And Virgil van Dijk spoke to me after the game, and it was along the lines of, we don't get too high when we win, we don't get too low when we lose, and that'll be tested now, because that's all well and good until the first corner comes in, and even if they don't score off it, but if they get a chance or something happens, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, here we go again. So they have to be, they have to man up a little bit, and they're going to have to be brave, and they're going to have to be. They know they're going into an intense atmosphere, and the more you concede off set pieces, the more it gets in your head, and also it gives the opposition encouragement to play for them. There was times when we used to play Stoke and they just try and buy free kicks all the time. Arsenal did it for a while, just try and buy a foul, try and buy a corner, try and get long throw-ins, because we know they've got a disadvantage. So yeah, I would say the goalkeeper was good at the weekend. I think Van Dijk was okay, but not amazing. The rest of them did not defend well at all. And I know we're going to speak about the team in a moment, and if there's changes and how the manager goes about fixing things. I'll just get to this right now. Andy Robertson starts this game for me. He is in at left back for a million. Not only because, again,
he might start the next several games if he can actually do them.
That's a big one for Kirkes. I think I would go Robertson again, a little bit more leadership. He hasn't been brilliant defensively, by the way. That's worth mentioning. He hasn't been amazing. I think against Bournemouth, Semenyo left him for dead, and that is a concern if it's going to be maybe against Sane that you've got to take the gamble on, but. They're going to have to show some character. They're going to have to show a little bit of cojones, for lack of a better phrase. And yet they've got to defend. They've got to defend the set pieces better. If you do that, you'll have control of the game. And if you get done on a counter, it is what it is. We're an attacking team, that can happen. But stop giving easy goals away. Make it difficult to score against you. And in a couple of away games this year, it's been relatively too easy to score against Liverpool, and that is a worry, of course it is.
Yeah, it is. And look, we speak about mentality here, and I think it's actually really right what Steve says there, Virg coming out and saying, we don't get too high when we win, we don't get too low when we lose. However, that was the same philosophy last year, but actually on games, Liverpool would win a game and Arsenal would drop points. It wasn't like what happened this weekend, where Liverpool have been the first to drop points, and Arsenal, I mean, we conceded in the last minute to lose a game of football. They score in practically the last minute to win a game of football to try and turn the tide of a title race. So I think the mentality is even more important now, because last season, Arsenal didn't give us a reason to get too high or too low when we dropped points or 1 point, because they weren't consistent. Where now they've put the pressure back on Liverpool in the Premier League. So Liverpool have to mentally not cave. And look, I don't think they will do that. I don't think that at all. But what I will say is, I do think it's slightly different to last season, because there feels like more pressure on you this season.
Arsenal I kind of think that pressure isn't more within the fan bases than within the football clubs themselves, because we spoke about this in the final word, that in times gone by, Liverpool have lost the Champions League final and then find the strength to up it 10% and go again the following season. The 97 points, and then you don't win the league. And how do you pick yourself up and go and even better that the following season? But they did. So I think it's out of the players' system, the loss already. It's not out of the fans, otherwise we wouldn't be sat here having conversations like this, would we? We'll talk about this till the cows come home. They move on very quickly. It's like it's your job. We do this because we love it. We love the club. We love everything. We love to discuss the good, the bad, and the indifferent. It's to them, it's like doing their job. Most of them don't support Liverpool, so don't have that same emotional attachment to the club, and they just get up the next morning and go, right, okay, so that was a bad day at the office, so to speak. So now we just get back to what we know we can do. So I'm hoping any hangover from the fact that we lost in the last minute and they won in the last minute is purely within the fan base and not within the club.
You can't call them mentality monsters for 4 years and then doubt them after one loss. That doesn't make sense. That they are a very strong, mentally strong team. They've had a bit of a wobble, and like I say, bad weekend for them in terms of their own defeat, and obviously the two biggest title rivals, we think, or Crystal Palace might have something to say about that, both win. So of course that does. It makes everyone a little bit edgy in terms of the supporters. I think Steve's right. The players, they tend to be okay. I think the change of competition helps that as well. Yeah. That is completely irrelevant to the Champions League. Arne Slot, he said in his interview with Ali McCoy, he wants that if he had to choose, he'd choose this. And I think for a lot of the players, they would say the same. This Champions League is bigger for them than the Premier League. That's never been my philosophy as a supporter.
It's very much my philosophy.
But I get it. I understand, and I completely understand it. Everyone's different. These players are desperate to win this one. Yeah. They're disappointed. It's mad to say this because they got beaten in the quarterfinals last year, whatever it was, but they're disappointed they never won it. What was it? First knockout, whatever it was.
16.
They're disappointed because they think they should have won it, and if they win that penalty shootout, there's a very good chance they win it. So they've got a point to prove in this one. So I think we've got to give them the benefit of any doubt. They've been so mentally tough. You can't praise them for getting last minute winners all season, and then they've got cojones, they've got the stomach for the fight, they love it, they never quit. So then think that they're going to quit after one last kick of a ball against Palace, I think that's doing them a disservice. I think they're better than that.
I do too. And obviously, I do think it is within the fan base a bit more. But the only way for you to kind of stop that is to go and put a performance in that shows, lads, we've been here before. We did it last season. We know how to get through these things. And rightfully so that, like you mentioned there, fans feel like this because we're the ones who are bought into the club more than, like, we have that emotional attachment. So it's perfectly fine for fans to be like this. But like you said there, footballers need to very much be... It's a game of football.
Game,
exactly. Liverpool have obviously lost they've not won in their last two away trips against Galatasaray. Obviously, the 1-1 in February in 2002, I was mere months. And the 3-2 loss that you went to, it's quite sad that, isn't it, for you? The only teams they've faced away from home more often in the Europa Cup or European Champions League without winning are Chelsea, where they've played 5, drawn 3, lost 2, and Napoli, where they've played 3 and lost 3. So we're going to have to do fairly better, but believe it or not, we've got a much better side than what we had in both 2006 and 2002. So Ste, goalkeeper, I mean, I said Ste and both looked at me, and that shows you everything. Picks himself, yes. But defence is where we're going to have some chats. I don't think Conor Bradley played at his best. We all know Kirk has, especially with just using his weak foot to hoof a ball up the pitch and not doing that. There are quite a few, I mean, can I say the stinker? There are a few positions up for grabs here. And you know what? Someone said to me the other day, look, you wouldn't throw Leone in the deep end, But my God, I wish we had Leone available to just give Konate a real go.
I don't think he's ready to do that.
You don't?
No, it was promising. It was promising against Southampton. Don't get me wrong, but it's a big ask for someone of that age.
But it's not. It's not like you need him now. I'm saying towards the end of this season, I'd have really liked to have been able to feature in some of those games, because I do believe Liverpool have bought him for the future, but you don't spend 26 million on a lad who's also not got the capabilities in some games.
That if we've got concerns that Konate doesn't re-sign, and you could argue this might be Gomez's last season, but we have this conversation every year, and then all the weekend does is add fuel to the fire that whatever it costs in January, if it's 30 million, he's a good buy, because right now he'd be in the team. I don't think the club reacts by taking Konate out for this game. I think we say to him, go and show us what you're about. Your chance to prove yourself, because he'll feel that himself. Yourself and the naysayers out there, go and show them what you're about. And then if it happens again, then maybe, we spoke about this as well, didn't we? Maybe you give Joe Gomez a couple of games. And although Joe Gomez was absolute cack when he came on against Southampton, he was very, very good against Arsenal. So you saw the two sides. Good word. Sorry, threw me off there, mate. It got an opportunity for him to have a run, and you made a really good point, Steve, that when Konate's not challenged by anybody, he gets a bit comfortable. So from that perspective, I think Virgil picks himself, and I think the manager says to Konate, go and get the weekend out of your system.
It's an easier conversation to leave him out if Gomez wasn't so poor against Southampton. I actually thought defensively he was good. With the ball, he was like dreadful. So it depends. I wouldn't be adverse to it, but I think he'll go Konate. The interesting one for me, is fullback. I think there's definitely a case to pick Szoboszlai at right back. Yeah. Because I don't think. I mean, Frimpong, his last two performances have been. I mean, if I say poor, it's an understatement. He's been really bad. Bradley only plays half of the week, so that might help. I thought going forward,
I don't think he was great.
Going forward, he was involved. A lot of the good stuff that happened attacking wise, and there wasn't loads of it, involved him, but they just kept kicking the ball over his head. And the fact that the fella next to him was having one didn't help him. So I think there is a world where you can ask Szoboszlai to go right back. I don't want this 4-2-2-2 thing again. So then you can play Gravenberch, McAllister, Virtus in midfield 3. You could pick Curtis Jones in there if you wanted to, because I think Alexis's form is a problem as well. But if you're worried about things, I definitely think there's an argument to be made for putting Szoboszlai right back. My guess would be we'll go with Connor again. But I think if I was picking a team, I would be half tempted to go Szobo.
I'd be in agreement.
If
it's Sane down the left-hand side, which is likely, then I'm going Szoboszlai, because Martinelli got nothing out of Szoboszlai because he's as quick as him, he's stronger than him, he reads the game as well as anybody. And then I'm probably, this sounds purely for a control perspective, I might go Gravenberch and Curtis Jones as your midfield base, because I don't think McAllister's at the races at the moment. And whilst I'm not an advocate of pulling players out, making them watch while they recover their form, he was clearly agitated when he came off at the weekend, and that might be a mix of lead me on because I think I can contribute, but moreover a case of actually I'm not really performing at the moment, so I'm a bit frustrated with myself. And then Ekitike comes through the middle with Gakpo, and he'll obviously start Salah. So I think that's kind of how I see it. The midfield. So by putting Szoboszlai at right back to deal with the issues we had at right back at the weekend, you're moving a problem. You're moving out of midfield to solve it at right back. And then you're leaving yourself to McAllister problem in midfield at the moment. And he's a brilliant footballer. And we've all sat here loads of times talking how good he is. Football's based on form, and on current form, it shouldn't be. He doesn't even have the sharpness there either at the moment. And by the way, speaking of the weekend, I think when Sobbo moved to right back, Liverpool just got so much better. The problem was they then took off Konate and moved Gravenberch into centre half, and it was like we've got no link between these three defenders and every other attacker on the pitch. So I do like the idea of Sobbo at right back, and I just think right now Conor Bradley's not really in the best of form. Frimpong's clearly not in the best of form. And Dom is playing brilliantly there. So yeah, I get it takes out of the midfield, but if he's your best right back option in form right now, I think you're just supposed to go for that. As for left back, are we saying Robertson over Kerkez? I think so, because Robertson's the least likely to be influenced by the atmosphere.
Yeah,
I do think there's a chance though they play Sané on that side. You have to worry, if you're worried about the pace.
Then
that is a thing. But for me, I'm going Robbo, and I 100% agree on Curtis Jones. It depends on who they play in their midfield. It was Sara and Torreira at the weekend, and listen, like that's a lad who was, with all due respect, Arsenal bombed out a long time ago, and a lad who was at Norwich not too long ago. They're not amazing. I think the best way to deal with Liverpool's defensive issues for the start, maybe trying to quieten down the hostile crowd, is to keep the ball.
And Curtis Jones.
And Curtis. Like I say, I know he has his detractors and we get accused of bias on the show, and that's fine. So maybe we are, and I'll always want him to do well. I want every Liverpool player to do well. I think McAllister's just having one. I don't know, again, you can make excuses and I understand it, reasons. Perhaps he never had a full pre-season, he's working his weight, and that's sound.
Yeah.
And there are certain games when you can use a lad and just play him back into form. I don't think away at Galatasaray is that for me. I think, I think he can absolutely come on in the game later on.
Yeah.
I want Liverpool to hold the ball and control the ball, and I think Curtis Jones and Ryan Gravenberch, it's a bit fresher. It's worth mentioning as well, Saturday, Tuesday, it isn't a massive amount of time. So I agree. I think sub out right back, get Curtis. I think it was a good point. I think it was a good point by Ste just to keep the ball, and also there's no real harm in giving Alexis a kick at the backside as well. We spoke earlier about like Konate maybe doesn't have competition. We can argue the same for Mo Salah, although Federico Chiesa might have a comment to say or two to say about that one. I think with midfield we do have options where you can afford to change it. So I think I'm going Curtis as well. I
am absolutely sound with that as well. I would play Curtis. I'd give Maka the rest as well, because he looks a mixture of shattered and really off the pace. Gakpo's the other one who hopefully after not starting the game the other day, he can get back to fitness and stuff, because I think he's sound, but I think he's been a little bit off it in recent games. I think that is the starting lineup. I'm so excited to see Hugo Ekitike back. Alexander Isak, I actually thought when we got him in the game the other day, was really quite good, but full 90, we probably put him on a bit too longer than we should have, and that was because Hugo Ekitike.
70-20, mightn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I'd be excited to see that. I'm going to ask for your score predictions before I get there, though. I'll let you have a think about it. Mohamed Salah remains 2 goals short of recording 250 for the club in all competitions. That's probably why he will start every game and stay on the pitch until the final whistle every single game. Other Champions League games that are quite interesting: Marseille Ajax looks alright. Chelsea face Benfica at Stamford Bridge. We've got Monaco against Man City, Dortmund Athletic Club, Napoli Sporting, Barcelona PSG on Wednesday. That is the big one for me that I will be sat down watching. Cannot wait for that. Not as good as last week. Last week there was a couple of interesting games alongside ours. This week, not really so much. Barcelona PSG is the standout by a country mile. So let us get your score prediction then, Steve.
Yeah, Desmond 2-2.
Oh, for God's sake.
That's not a bad result. I'm interested to see what he does, because I'm thinking Salah is a little bit of a problem at this moment. And I wonder, he's not going to not play, but how long he gives him. Does Chiesa start? Does Chiesa get on? These are all conversations I'm trying to have in my head.
Have they swapped that now?
Yeah, Chiesa can play now, yeah.
No.
So Leone's gone out the Champions League, well, unfortunately for him.
I feel bad not saying Chiesa in the starting 11, because I feel like he does deserve to be in the starting 11. However, is he better as an impact sub?
Yeah, and also, listen, there's a conversation about Mo Salah, but Arne Slot doesn't have that conversation. Right or wrong, he doesn't have it. I think we're going to win.
I like that.
2-1.
I would take that.
Take that.
Yeah, we will. This is Slot's 70th career match as a head coach in European competitions. It will be the first time he has faced a Turkish opponent, so it's new territory for him as well. I'm hoping that the Reds win by any means. I'm going to go for a 3-1. I think I've decided 3-1 to the Reds. Get us another 3 points on the board. And hopefully some of the players can start to get into form.
Chiesa scores the winner for me again. Does it again?
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Off the bench.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, would love that. The away and singing his name as well.
They've been knackered about it. They've been in there for 6 days by that point. Yeah, it's a tasty trip that in.
It is a tasty trip. Enjoy for everyone who is going. We will have the watch along tomorrow. It is me and you.
Yeah. Have we done? We can't have done many.
No, we've done one with me, you and Chris.
I was like the score guy on the last day of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, Chloe.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting.
You're one of my favourites.
Thank you. So. Aside from the other 6 that are also one of your favourites.
No, Errol's number 1.
Oh, there we go.
I think there's a competition for second. Listen, you've got your chance.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'll try and do a Chiesa and take every chance that I get. Anyway, that will be live tomorrow. We'll be live at 20 to 7, which, come join us to watch the game. Thank you so much for watching. Until next one, up the Reds.